Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we will be talking about a very active pattern with a few potential for some very large winter storms. I also will be going over the winter storm that is currently occurring across the kind of Midwest and the Northeast area. It has ended up dropping quite a bit of snow, quite a bit of rain, and yeah, overperformed for some areas. I would say maybe underperformed for a few as well, but definitely, yeah, there's a lot of stuff kind of going on in the weather community, and there's a lot of things to kind of keep you guys updated on. But regardless, before we get into that, if you guys are new to this channel, hello and welcome. I hope you enjoy these type of videos, and if you do, check out the other videos, check out the channel, see if you do enjoy it, and if you do, consider subscribing and liking the video. Obviously don't do that just because I told you so, but it really helps out the channel if you do. So let's start talking about this. The first of what we have right here is the European model pulled up, and I kind of want to just run you through it because there has been quite a bit of changes with regards to a few of these storm systems. So again, the main one currently right now, I just want to show you that it is still occurring across the Midwest, and it will continue pushing into areas like southern Canada, and you can see that there, right there, boom, boom. It drops quite a bit of snow across southern Canada, quite a bit of rain towards the south, and it will, strengthen and intensify into the future. But as it does so, it obviously also pushes away from the eastern United States and Canada, and by really Tuesday, it is pretty much out of our area of concern, and we don't really have to deal with it anymore. So at least that's that's the good news. And I will be going over the details of this in just a little bit, but I just want to show you, right, that the pattern does show activity, and the models are still all over the place on these systems. There were some thoughts of some large systems potentially for the Northeast, but really it's the models right now kind of have changed that, and they're not really showing that system as strongly. And you can see that, for example, look at this one right here, right? The European shows it like this, and just 12 hours ago prior to this model run, it showed it as a much bigger and stronger system, and you could see that right there, boom. It's not much of a concern, but 12 hours ago it was much bigger of a story. So again, there's a lot of changes, so we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that. But as I said, I want to show you an hour by hour kind of layout of this current one that is occurring. So this is 5 p.m. I'm recording this at 6, so this is an hour old. Let me go an hour forward so I could give you the most up-to-date right there. Boom. And as you can see, as I push this forward, what we do start seeing is that snow spread into Canada, into Michigan, into portions of the Great Lakes. It's pretty much ending across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Ontario, but notice that the rain is picking up in terms of intensity across Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, and actually by overnight today could develop into a pretty significant line of into a significant line of thunderstorms, and you can see those could be racing through much of the, if you will, much of the kind of the southern and central United States, and not really a southern. It will get towards more Tennessee and the southeast later on, but as a weaker band. Definitely some severe weather. Heavy rain is a very strong potential, and as you can see, as I put this forward, we do start seeing that continue to intensify, and it does continue to push forward with quite a bit of heavy rain. Lexington potentially, right, Louisville, cities in Tennessee as well, Memphis, maybe Nashville also getting in on, both those cities getting in on that rain. And you can see the snowy side to it is also very profound across cities like Quebec, maybe even to Ottawa, but cities like Toronto, and then eventually all the way Ottawa, Montreal, and into Quebec will be seeing a rain. But the further up the St. Lawrence River, if you will, you will see more snowfall, but it does eventually it does convert all over to rain by tomorrow in the morning. And this is what it looks like tomorrow in the morning. It's pretty much done for Minnesota, Wisconsin. There are some very fierce winds behind this, why there are wind warnings right now for much of the Midwest. But again, that would also spawn some lake effect, and there could be quite a bit of that lake effect occurring across Michigan and Superior Lakes. So in terms of snowfall, just through those 18 hours, so again, not too terribly far out, you can see quite a bit could fall, especially across cities like Quebec, maybe into Ottawa, Montreal, right? Toronto, mainly just rain for you at this point. Michigan, the UP, and the upper hand of the mainland also picking up quite a bit of additional snow. And if I were to show you even further out in the future using using the her model that goes out several hours, 48 hours out. You can see that really once tomorrow in the morning, kind of 10-11 a.m. Eastern time or Central time, the snowfall amounts will pretty much be done with, and in the afternoon a few more inches, right, especially for areas further north. But for our kind of viewing area, or where I forecast for, not much, just maybe some lake effect and some wraparound showers for, say, the lake effects, or the areas near the lake, which you could see right there in Pennsylvania. New York specifically, where I'm looking at, is they could. Sorry about that. I keep yawning. I don't know why. But you can see that there could be quite a bit of snow, and definitely some of those amounts could be actually pretty significant with that lake effect. So this is kind of the model, but I want to also show you the radar and what the current, I guess, layout of the storm is. That's just what's to come of the remaining parts of it. Now let me show you the radar, which I have pulled up right here conveniently, right? And notice that if I take this back all the way through, really before even noontime of today, which the radar goes back quite a bit, it's 6 hours, you can see how this kind of progressed, right? The rain started off as snow for much of Michigan and southern Canada. However, by the end of really when by the time really the kind of the evening started to draw, you could see it. A lot of that started transition over to rain as that warm moisture and air started to transition over into rain. Right then, transition that snow into rain. Some very heavy bands of snow did occur, but again, they did transition over to rain for most locations along the Michigan area. But into the UP, right, the upper hand of Michigan, the mitten, the northern part of the mainland into southern Canada, Wisconsin, it stayed as mainly all snow. And again, you can see right now it is snowing in most of the areas surrounding Toronto, and now pushing into Ottawa, and will eventually get into Quebec and Montreal. But again, even up to Quebec, it will transition over to all rain by the time it's all said and done. But there could be, as you saw, 6-7 inches of snow in the Quebec, if not even more. And yeah, you can see this thing definitely is producing a lot of heavy rain. Some of that is probably overdone because the radar thinks that is falling as heavy rain, but they may be as ice pellets, because you can see it's near that rain freezing rain, which is why it picks it up as very significant raindrops. But it just could be larger sleet balls frozen, so that's why sometimes the radar turns over exaggerated near those areas of rain snow transition. And notice there isn't a line of storms yet, but that will be developing, and obviously developing into that pretty heavy rain threat for much of Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, even southern Indiana, Ohio, and plowing towards the east. And you can see behind here, yeah, that snow is pretty much done with. And I actually want to show you some of those snowfall amounts, because they are rather significant. So what I do want to pull up here is this cool website that I have, where it reports how much snow has fallen, or people put in reports of how much snow they got, and you can see kind of lays them all out quite a bit. I mean, that is definitely a good event for some locations. Look at that, over a foot right there near Duluth. These areas were supposed to get around like 10 to 16, and it's still snowing, and right now it's 6. So I think that it wouldn't really underperformed. We'll have to see, though. Some of the amounts need to be a bit lighter, but again, they still have a few hours of snow. Where it definitely did overperform is for cities like Green Bay. They were expected to get around an inch of snow, and they got close to 5. I mean, look at that right there, just south of Green Bay. This is northwest, 3, 5, depending on where that banding's set up. 4 right there, Clintonsville. So that's quite a bit. Minneapolis also definitely got a decent bit. You're in many locations getting 1 to 2 inches. The further north you got, St. Cloud, it quickly jumped to 3 to 4, and then up towards Grand Forks, it was well over 6 inches. A pretty good snowfall event. A bit later for North Dakota, so this is where I would say some of it may have underperformed. And yeah, definitely good amounts for Michigan as well. Already 8 inches as of 5:21, and that was Central Standard Time, so it's been already an hour since then. And yeah, we'll start seeing the amounts continue to get updated and increased. Unfortunately, it doesn't show anything for southern Canada, so I can't really show you what the people reported there. But again, the snow will be falling there as well. So regarding the future, again, you can see that there's that first system according to the European. There's our second one, potentially starting to make something right there across the coast. The earlier models showed a strong nor'easter. I definitely do think there's still potential for a bigger storm. You can see the European keeps a lot of that moisture off. I do think that there's a pretty good chance, again, that there could be a bigger impact than what the European shows now, but there definitely has been a trend kind of away from that. So that's a bit unfortunate if you didn't want that snow. And you could see that there are, again, more systems, especially across the west, which is good news, but a lot of these are really warm, not well put together. Some, like the European, you could see puts together. By the way, this is the midnight model run of the European, so this is not even the newest one, but really I'll show you the newest one, and then you'll get a better look at kind of how it has changed in which direction. And you can see that the European midnight one showed a very large storm across the northeast at around the 160-70 time frame. Coastal areas rain, but inland areas a ton of snow, and an active pattern for the west continued. With the newest model run, it still shows a active pattern, right, with many storms. There's our first one that's occurring right now, but it doesn't really show anything that is insanely, I would say, really insanely okay, I shouldn't say insanely active, because it does show pretty active weather pattern, but doesn't show a single storm that is super impressive. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I couldn't get it out. You can see that with that nor'easter again, it continued with the newest model run, taking that off the shore, not really doing much with it. We do have a system moving into the southwest, and you can see that the European model run does show quite a bit for the Midwest. But if you recall, at this time frame, the midnight one I just showed you showed a system here of snow. Now the newest one at 12, it really doesn't. So again, that threat kind of, if you were to look at this one, it's pretty much not there. Just a little bit of ice and snow. But again, will it go back and show a snowstorm? We'll have to wait and see. But you can see that the pattern for the southwest also does continue in terms of activity in the west. And that's, I keep mentioning that because that is important and actually what the models have been consistent with. And if you take a look at models like the GFS and their total snowfall for the next kind of 15 days, you can see that the west could get absolutely pummeled with precip, which is good news. They really need quite a bit of that precipitation, especially, the higher elevations with that snowpack. It's been pretty dry, the drought's still there, and that definitely is wanted. And just to show you, the GFS also has been kind of on a trend downwards in terms of the large storms. It shows an active pattern, but a lot of the models have been advertising for a warmer pattern overall for December versus kind of a colder one, which we thought might be earlier. You can see again that nor'easter, the GFS hugs it closer towards the shore, so it gives, large cities, Philadelphia, DC, a bit of snow this upcoming midweek. So definitely, not horrible if this were to occur. We're a nice, I guess, 1, 2, 3, maybe 1 to 4 inch event. But again, it's definitely a lot further towards the south. And look, here, let me show you using this cool little feature I have. This was the model run before. That one you can see was further towards the north. This was one before that. And the one before that, you can see it's progressively getting further and further away from the coast with each model run. So again, will that continue? We'll have to wait and see, but definitely less of a threat at this point. The GFS does develop a precip band across the Midwest. It rain, again, not really organized, a bit of snow, a bit of rain. Does show a snowstorm across the southwest, which has, again, potential for the end of next week. But again, at this point, it's hard to tell what it will kind of result from this. Again, nothing extraordinary from this model run. And it also has a trend of being weaker, because look what it showed yesterday. Look at that. Or the model before that one. It showed a very strong system with quite a bit more snow. And look at that, what it showed a couple days ago. Look at those amounts, right? This was initiated yesterday in the evening. And now with the latest model run, it's nothing really too significant. So again, the storm's still there, but it's just not as impressive. And again, it's still far out. We'll have to wait and see whether or not that holds. But again, you can see all that precip across the southwest continues, and that's good that that's at least consistent, as they probably need it more than anywhere else in the United States. And you can see that, again, pattern continues, but what the GFS is starting to show along with some of the other models, like the European and Canadian, is quite a bit of warmth. I mean, look at this. A few days prior, towards kind of the holidays, if you will, or depending on whatnot you celebrate. The 2-meter temperature anomaly, it's rather profound, and obviously this is an extreme, but even if it's not as extreme for even if it's not as extreme, most days are filled with relative warmth more than cool. And of course, we do have quite a concerning amount of these days that are rather very, very warm, which again, you could, there could be still a few storms that get snuck in as snowstorms, but it definitely kind of eats away at the chances of that. So yeah, there's a lot of chaos. It's hard to work out what's going to happen. And yes, I definitely would say that overall, a lessened chance for a massive snow kind of attack of several storms. Definitely a chance still there. A lessened chance for a cold December, really for kind of the southeastern United States, southeastern 2/3. And what I mean by that is really a majority of the country, anywhere south of these areas, it looks pretty warm. These areas I say a bit cooler because you could see that La Nina impacts could be a bit more significant with that cold air, and there are some indications that there could actually be a very cold air through December. And yeah, but overall, regarding individual storms, it's a bit too far out to say. But I would say at this point, an active pattern, large snowstorm potential definitely still there, and we'll just have to wait and see what the models continue to show. At this point, it's kind of hard to make a single conclusive um, I guess, conclusion about what may be coming. I'd have to look at the models for probably several more hours in order to come up with an analysis, and usually I do like doing that, but today, if you can tell, I've been just yawning. I've been just extremely exhausted and tired. I don't know. It's been a tough few days with a lot of work for school and whatnot, so that's why I couldn't manage to upload a video yesterday, unfortunately. But I think I will be coming, more on here and more consistently as finally this semester comes to an end. But yeah, regardless, you probably don't even want to hear about that. So I want to show you one model, the Canadian. You can see this is the snowstorm that we have going on right now, and here again, it does develop. It does what it does. It kind of moves away. I just want to show you more of the long range from the Canadian. There's that nor'easter potential. Not really much, right? I mean, the Canadian, more the European, doesn't really show anything significant. Starts developing another storm. Again, a bit of snow potentially. Nothing too extraordinary. Really, just it doesn't form. Even if it's just too warm, too cold, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't form into a storm in the first place. So it's just kind of there. Bands of precip. Definitely some significant rain though, and you can see that the Canadian pummels the west and the southwest with rain. But again, introduces a lot of warm air. So I do want to say that the European a few days ago was a more advocate of very cold air, while the GFS was more on the warmer side, and it seems as if the GFS was right with that trend. So again, that's why I do say that the supremacy of the European is not really kind of pales in comparison to what it was a few years ago, where it was seemingly was right on every aspect. But now the GFS with its upgraded models and its systems, I would say, is probably as accurate as the European, if not more accurate. So yeah, I'll just probably catch you all guys on the next episode. See ya.